Right, so here we have a ng switch, right, that is dynamically choosing between different options of different widgets depending on the type, correct? Right. Now these widgets are fairly simple, right? Some of them are just a single line of code, right? Actually, most of them are just a single line of code. Yes. Some of them are a little more involved in H1. Yes. But there's nothing stopping us with the different types of widgets that we could possibly put in here. Yes. I mean, these could be fairly complex widgets, correct? It could be a widget that you give it the name of a table in a database. Yes. It's going to go back to the server. It's going to query that database, that table, and come back with some complex JSON collection, and then display it in a tabular format. That then allows you to filter, allows you to maybe do pagination left and right. You can set the size of the. I mean, it could be a fairly complex thing. Yes, and probably you're not going to be able to fit it in one single page. Probably it'll be a fair amount of engineering. Yes, so certainly this approach is not scalable, right? Of just having everything implemented in one single HTML document, correct? So we need to be able to scale this. We might need to split this into its own dedicated sub pages, right, or sub components, right, that deal with each one of these types of widgets. Make sense, right? So let's see how we could do that. Well, what we could do is grab for instance, this widget here, right, that does the heading, right, and perhaps we could put it in a separate directory, right? Maybe put it under here. We could put it maybe in a separate widgets directory, widgets, right? And in here we could create an HTML document that says this is a widget, this is a heading, right, and this is a view.client.html. Right, and then in here we can paste that content. Right, we can paste that in there. Yes? And you can certainly imagine that this could be fairly complex. Yes?
Sorry, that's why I'm confused. So, for the assignment 2,
Yeah.
we also have a reader heading VHTML, which is like, there's a form.
Right, there's two, right? There's one for the rendering, and there's one for the form.
Okay, so there will be two different.
Yeah, one is for rendering the widget list, and the other one is to be able to edit each individual widget type. Yep. Yes.
How does this file?
Yeah, we'll do it in a second, right? So it's here, but notice that we're going to include it from here. So it's within the context of the higher, whatever context it sets, the current widget and whatnot are available, right, to anything that we include here. So let's what we could do here is just include that page that we just created using div and ng include, and then referring to the location of that widget, right? And that widget is where is it? It's under widgets, under was it widget heading? Was it dot view dot client? Is that it? Dot HTML. Did I call it right? Widget heading dot view dot client dot HTML. Okay. All right. So let's see if we broke it. All right. So it's wrong. It's looking for it in assignments widgets. Okay. So no. Okay. We have to put it where they actually go. They go under views, under widgets, under templates, under widgets. I think that's it. Let's try that. There it is. We have our headings back. Okay? All right, our headings are back. Let's do the same thing for the other widgets. Right? This one is image source. Let's grab that. Let's remove it from here, and let's put it in a separate list of widgets here. So this is HTML. So this is widget. image.view.client.html, and we're going to paste that in there. Okay, and here we're just going to grab, I'm just going to copy this from the image, and this is widget templates image view HTML. Make sense? Right? Let's see if we broke it. Okay, the image still works. Right? Let's do the same thing for the HTML. Okay. To be able to do this, I'm going to need to split this into. We use just one div, but because I need to split this into a separate file, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this, right, and I'm going to remove the ng bind from the top one, right, and I'm going to remove the ng switch. So this is the same thing, but it's now nested divs instead, right? It implements the same thing. Let me render, make sure that still works. Yeah, there it is. My HTML still loads. Now I can safely just grab this, right, and move it from here and put it in a separate file. So this new HTML, and this would be widget HTML view.client.html. Paste it in there, and now we can just use the include, and this would be HTML. I don't know if you see a pattern. Right, they all look the same, no? So let's do this last one, and let's create a YouTube here. So this would be widget dash YouTube dot view dot client.html, and it's going to have the content of the YouTube, and this would be the include for the YouTube. So widget YouTube, and this is YouTube. Okay, let's reload. Let's see if that broke. Okay, that still works. Okay, so basically we moved everything into separate files. Yes? We moved them all into separate files. Correct? And it seems to work. Now, one of your colleagues pointed out that says, wait a minute, but you know all these files have exactly the same name except for the image type. Right? Right? So that means that one other way of implementing this is to, instead of using this as a hard-coded string, right? This could be an expression. Right? This could be an expression. And this could be replaced by a variable. Right? This could be replaced by a variable. So that this whole implementation, let's grab this. Let's put it in a separate place. Could be re-implemented as follows. It could be just one ng include, right? One single ng include, where this is a variable, right? Which is what? It's the widget dot widget type. See that? We are calculating the name of the file that we want to include. You see that? Right? So that if we re-render it, it doesn't work. Actually, wait a minute. Right, we have to calculate that in a separate function. So let's do that. Model dot get widget include URL, right? And we're going to pass as an argument. I'm going to grab that. We're going to pass as argument the widget type. We're going to pass as an argument. So that now, if we go back to our controller, right, we can provide here a function that can calculate, what's it called? Get widget include URL. Get widget include URL. Implemented here. Function get widget include URL, and this is widget type. So we're going to return this string, concatenate it with the widget type dot view like that. Right, that's the URL of the widget that we want to render. And now notice that it refreshes and reloads all again. See that? That makes sense? Right? So some students are doing it this way, right, where it's in a single line. You can do that and just have the controller calculate what it is that you're going to render, right? Some students are doing it, doing the entire switch and whatnot. Either one will be fine. Okay, there are two different ways. There are even a couple of other ways of doing it, but I'm not going to get into those. But some of 2 or 3 are doing it a little more advanced. They're using directives and they're using components and things like that. We're going to look at directives a little later. But if you know how to use components and directives, go ahead and play with that if you feel comfortable with that. A couple of you are doing it that way. Okay. Everybody okay? That makes sense, right? So there you go. So we have the includes, the switches that you need to dynamically be able to render these widgets. Doing the form is the same way, right? But instead of rendering different content, you render different forms, right? So you have 2 or 3 forms, I forget. One form for editing the image, one form for editing the YouTube video, and one for the heading, I think, right? And you display one or another depending on the type of the widget. Yes? All right? All right. Very good.